Okay. There is a power for good in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. Not only that, you are using it. Not only that, you are it. You've heard this, right? So there's a power for good in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. In fact, you are using it. In fact, you are it. This month is called Change It Up to Unlimited Passion. When Dr. Holmes wrote that, and he started every one of his talk shows with that statement, there is a power for good in the universe. Now let's just start right there. There is a power for good in the universe. He was not saying that there was a power for good the way we understand good, good and bad. He wasn't doing the pejorative thing of, no, there's a power for only good. God is only good. There's all this bad stuff, but God is only good. That's duality. What he was saying is there is a power for good in the universe, but the word good really means there is a power for creativity in the universe. There is a power in this universe that just creates at all times. You get to decide whether you experience it as good or as bad. So his idea of good is just meaning creative. Does everybody get that? So there's a power for good in the universe greater than you are. It doesn't mean that you are less than. It just means that this creative power, in its essence, is bigger than what most of us, and probably all of us, are willing to understand and use. So yeah, it is bigger than me. It is much bigger than me. And I don't often rise to the height of the capability of this immense power. So yeah, can I say it's greater than I am? Because there was time in my ministry when I heard that. I had never heard greater than you are. I always heard there's a power for good in the universe and you can use it. And then one day someone said, the quote is, there's a power for good in the universe greater than you are. And I went, oh, and now it's ruined. Because I am God. So it can't be greater than I am until I really understood what Ernest Holm was saying. Not good and bad, just creative and greater than you are because you often don't live from that power for creative good. Yes? How many of you have ever used that creative power to create bad in your lives? Thank you, Jason. Jason raised his hand. But all of us, we've all created from this essence, from this amazing creative energy, we have created less than fun experiences. So there's a power for good in the universe, greater than I am, and I can use it, but that's not really it. I can use it, but we got to get out of that idea that there's this dualistic thing, I'm going to grab it and use it. No, I can use it. In fact, I'm using it now. You can't not use it. You're using it whether you think you are or not. You're using it whether you're using it on purpose or not, because you are it. You are that power for good. You are that creative power in the universe, and you get to live from it. So, in this month of Change It Up to Unlimited Passion, I want to talk about change. And it's funny, Jamie said we were in the middle of the month. This is actually, I believe, the last Sunday in the month is next week. There are 5 Sundays this month. So we are in the 4th Sunday of this understanding of change. And like I say, when you put a theme to something, it's really like in all cars, calling all cars, bring me as much change as possible in my life. So I feel like there's a lot of change going on in my life right now. And that's okay. It's okay. I've had 3 whole weeks to talk about change. So this week, the title of my talk is Mind Your Change. You know how we say change your mind? Well, I'm mixing it up a bit. It's mind your change. And it's not about minding the quarters in your pocket. I thought that was funny, but okay. Mind the change. So, you know the expression, change your thinking, change your life? Can anyone tell me who first said that, where that quote comes from? Norman Vincent Peale? Wayne Dyer? No. So here's the deal. You're all right, probably, because I spent over a half an hour trying to find out who said this quote the first time. And I can find anything on Godgle. I can find anything, because everything's there. Yeah, Godgle. So I'm looking all over Google. Karen Needle, are you looking? Did you find it? No, because what comes up is all the books people have written about it. No one is attributed to this quote. So I've decided I made it up. Why not, right? Right, Laura? You were right. It was me. I said this first. Yeah. So change your thinking, change your life. Well, is that really true? It's a great quote. It's a great thing to walk around saying, change your thinking, change your life. Yeah, do y'all do that sometimes? Change your thinking, change your life. It's all great, but does it work? Does it really work? Joe Jordan's like, yes, it does. Yeah, it does and it doesn't. Have you ever tried to lose weight and you change your thinking about it and you lose the weight and then the next thing you turn around and you're back in those other dresses? Well, not me, I'm in different suits. But you can change your thinking and change your life, but if you want to really change your life, you have to change your beliefs. Because your thinking's coming from your beliefs. So whatever you believe causes you to think the way you think. It causes you to talk the way you talk. It causes you to interact the way you interact. That's change your thinking, change your life. So when we talk about change as something we're in charge of, well, that's very true. But how do we take charge of the changes in our lives? That's what I sort of want to talk about tonight, by minding your change. So Albert Einstein said this: we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we've used to create them. Now, I know you've heard this. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we've used to create them. When it comes to consciousness, the thinking you've used to create anything backed up comes from a very deep-seated core belief. Now, in this science, in this thing that we call science of mind, in this teaching, one of the biggest problems of this teaching that I see is that people are not demonstrating regularly, on purpose, all the time. People are not living lives of amazing wealth, aren't living lives of phenomenal health, aren't living lives of absolute abundant creativity, not fully and at all times. Why? Why is that happening? Well, because I believe that in the end, we haven't bought it fully. We don't fully believe and know that this is the way the world is working. We keep leaving room, and Jamie said it perfectly. We have too many variables. We believe in perfect health, and yet we also believe in disease because we see it. We believe in prosperity. All there is prosperity, except we also believe in lack because we've experienced it. We believe in creative expression. I have the power to create whatever I want. I can write a hit movie and it will win every Oscar possible. And then we also believe in, I won't have that opportunity. You see what I'm saying? So we believe in things that are creating our experiences. That's how this thing called our mind, this power for good in the universe, works. So now I come to Norris Song, Nora and Dell's song. When they wrote this song 4 years ago, 4 years ago? 4 years ago. They were 14 years old when they wrote this song, right? 13 years old when they wrote this song. Now, what I didn't know at the time, they just called me into their bedroom, or it was Nora's bedroom, not their bedroom. Nora called me into her bedroom and she said, Dad, listen to this. And they sang it. And, you know, a father quells when he hears such beautiful talent. That's a Jewish word. We're in a temple. So I'm listening to the song, but something stuck in me. You know, it was like, there was a point in the song when they say, I can't help but hurt myself. And I'm listening to this song, and luckily when they got to the end of the song, my friends stopped asking me why I cry. And the reason they stopped asking was because they no longer had an unmade mind. They made up their mind to stop crying. They made up their mind to stop having an experience that they were having. And the experience they were having is, now Nora and Will were sent to private schools their whole life. They went to private kindergarten, they went to private grade school, they went to private grade school. But then when they got to middle school at the end, they wanted to go to a public school. Now, I'm not saying anything bad about the public school system. God forbid I do that. There's many teachers in this room of it. But this one school that we sent them to apparently had some issues. And all of a sudden, there was bullying going on. They had friends that were cutting which I didn't even understand. They had friends with eating disorders. They had a lot of things going on. So what they did was write this song about it. And that's the whole, I can't stop hurting myself. I don't understand what's going on. So their minds were in this place of, I don't know what to make out of all of this. Have you ever been there? Where you're just looking at your life and saying, I don't know what to make out of all of this. My mind is confused. My mind is being stirred up by all this stuff that's going on. Look at our world today. Look at our politics today. I'm just looking around and saying, how do I make sense out of all of this? And what we do is we don't make sense out of it, so our minds are unmade. My unmade mind. I'm not making up my mind. I'm just letting the variables roam around. Well, what happens when you don't make up your mind? Something makes it up for you. Something comes along and makes up the answer. You're still in the process of, I don't know. So you latch on to some things that are certain, that you think are certain, but they're not, such as fear or doubt or worry. So when they sang this song, it just blew me away. And when I really understood it, and I cried like a baby when I heard the ending, which was really the ending of, I'm okay now. Why? Because I've made up my mind. Well, here's what I think is going on, and I really want you to pay attention to this, as if you're not. How could you not? Yesterday, somebody dropped a Dr. David Walker CD in my office, on my desk. I don't know who did it, but it's just a CD arrived on my desk about transitions. And I have a new car. My new car actually has a CD player in it. So I took it in the car and I put it in there and I had to drive, and all of a sudden I'm sitting in Dr. Walker's church again. And I'm listening to him talk. And it's this eloquent talk on transitions, which really he was talking about change. He was talking about the many transitions that happen in our lives. And why do we get so freaked out at that final transition? And I love this. It was so brilliant how he said this. He said, why do we get so freaked out at that last transition when we've been having a transition every day of our lives? We go to sleep, we close our eyes, and we go to a different plane of action. He said, and I think he probably did that when he did it. And he's like, why are we so freaked out by this? Why are we so freaked out by change? And I was like, wow, how did this arrive here? So it just goes on and on and on, his talk. And at one point towards the end of the talk, he said, now last week was a challenging week with the earthquake. I went, earthquake? Oh, it's the Northridge earthquake. Oh, I was in that audience. I sat there. Oh my God, I couldn't wait to get to church that week. And we were still shaking, remember? Those aftershocks went on for weeks. And he was talking about this whole idea of change and the shifting of the earth beneath us and how we have to be okay with that. And not only be okay with it, we have to be willing to ride the shifts, ride the shaking, ride it so that we are part of it and we understand our oneness with it. And so I listened to this CD all the way over the hill and all the way back, and then I listened to it again. So here's what Ernest Holm says. He says, all seeming change is merely the play of life upon itself. All seeming change is really the play of life upon itself. If we say my life is unfolding perfectly, basically we're saying all change is unfolding perfectly. All change. That means even change as you get older. Anyone having an issue with getting older and seeing things changing in the mirror? I don't, but you do. I've seen it. No, I do. I look, and I'm like, wow, shocking. That wasn't there last month. And there it is. Well, but that's got to be good. I think one of the things we don't do, and Joe Jordan, you're going to love me for this, I don't think we honor, forget Joe Jordan, Jack, we don't honor as we get older and older and older, we should be becoming more valuable, even more valuable for the knowledge and the wisdom. And of course, I'm saying this now as I'm getting older and older and older. But it's true. But I don't even mean we should be having other people appreciate us more. I mean ourselves. We should literally be riding this wake of change. So the title of the talk is Mind your change. So we need to pay attention to what is changing in our lives. So I want you to think for a moment, what is changing? What's going on in your life? What things are changing in your life right now that you could possibly learn something from? Lots of things go on. Marriages end. Jobs end. Where we live changes. Governments change. Presidents change out. All of it. All of the change that's going on in your life right now, what is there in that change that can teach you something amazing? If you pay attention, if you mind your change, what can that change do for you? Most of the time we get into a struggle with it. We are resisting it. You know what, where you resist persists. So we resist the change. I don't want that to change. I like this so much. We work very hard to keep things from changing, don't we? But the universe is constantly changing. Everything, do you know that? Everything is constantly changing at all times. I went for a haircut this week, and I sat down in the chair, and all I kept thinking of was, oh God, I've loved this haircut. I've loved this haircut. Please don't change it. I'm sitting in the chair to get my hair cut, not for her to bless it and say it looks good. And so she cut it, and I left there going, I liked it better before I got it cut. And so I went home, and I looked in the mirror, and I'm looking at my hair, and there were a couple little things I didn't like about it, and I was like, all right, so let's really look at this thing called change. You just changed your hair. Most people are tired of hearing about your hair, especially your husband. He has had it with your hair. And he was like, don't get your hair cut before our vacation, because I'm not spending the vacation with you in a bad mood. So when did I get it cut? 2 days before our vacation. So I looked in the mirror and I went, what's bothering you? You look different. You look a little bit different. But you know how most people, they go, what do you think of this haircut? And what's your usual response? Oh, did you get it cut? And they just want to kill you because they think they look so drastically different. But the only change that's going on is internally, although I did take the scissors and cut a few things off that I didn't like. And now it looks really good. I'm really happy with it. So the point is, if you don't like what has changed, change it up. Change it again. Be willing to see what you know what you see, and make a decision. And this is really the big thing that I want to talk about today, which is our philosophy. I think the biggest problem is that we have not made up our minds. We have not made up our minds about this philosophy to the very root of it. Is it done unto you as you believe? Have you made up your mind that when you use your mind, it is done? We don't say, and so it maybe should be, I hope it works out. We say, and so it is, don't we? Or at least you should. But most of us are saying, and so it is, I don't know, maybe. No, we have to make up our minds and not be walking around with these unmade minds that are confused, saying, well, I know that if I speak my truth, it could happen. I don't want it to be, it could happen. I want it to be, and so it is, as Reverend Jamie said. And did you watch the talk this morning in Westlake? So you knew it was coming. So we have unmade minds. Every single one of us in this room has an unmade mind. Because unless you are living at the height of your prosperity, and that's still a ceiling that you want to break free, then you haven't really bought the truth that your prosperity comes from your mind being made up, that there's no other thing but prosperity for you. End of sentence. That's a made-up mind. And if struggle comes along, financial struggle, that does not interfere with what you've made up your mind about. That doesn't fit here. I know the truth. That's the kind of mind I'm talking about. That is the kind of mind we must be willing to adjust to. That's the kind of mind that we have to live our lives from. How many of you are ready to make up your mind tonight? The rest of you are like, I'm thinking. Don't ask me to make up my mind. Thank you. Preciosa's in the back going, yeah, good for you. So that's really all we have to do. But, I look at ministers. In this teaching, in the New Thought teaching, and I'm sure, I'll be raked over the coals for saying this, but you know what? Who cares? I like coals. You know what? A great percentage of the New Thought ministers are living lives that do not show us what this teaching really is about. If anyone is living in lack, you cannot get up on a stage and say, make up your mind about prosperity. Because I'm going to want to say to you, you make up your mind about prosperity. You make up your mind about health. You make up your mind about creative expression. That's who we have to be. We need to be the change we want to see in the world, as Gandhi said, but we need to be the prosperity we want to see in the world. We need to be the creative expression we want to see in the world. We need to be the health, the vibrant health we want to see in the world. That's what we have to be. And that is a made-up mind. That my mind creates my experience, nothing else. Just my mind. Ernest Holm said this: the answer to what we shall be is contained in what we are now thinking, for we can change our thinking. And you can change your thinking. But if you change your belief, your thinking's already changed. And if you make up your mind that this science works, that's really the crux of this. Have you made up your mind that this science works? We know electricity works. Do you ever walk into a room and stand in front of a switch and go, I don't know, might go on, might not. I'll try it. If it goes on, then I guess it works now. Oh, it works today. Maybe tomorrow it won't. I've been in rooms where I've done that and it hasn't worked. I mean, that's really how we're using this science. No, because we have absolute proof. We've made up our mind. Electricity works. If I plug in, it's going to work. There's a wall at our house right now, or my house is like 2/3 on the ground, done. They're just pouring the cement this week. And so there's a wall. I didn't know that the plug didn't work. No, this is indication of what we do with science of mind. So I plug in my computer, and it doesn't work. Now, what do you think you would think? It's like, oh, this plug doesn't work. No, I just moved up to the next socket right above it in the same wall. And I was like, oh, it doesn't work. And then I thought, I bet maybe this whole room doesn't work. Your mind listens to the relative facts like that and makes huge decisions when the relative facts are showing you nothing. They're showing you nothing. They're showing you these little isolated incidences that merely fall back to some cause, and you are what's behind the cause. You're not the cause, and you're not the effect. You are that which is creating and therefore effecting. That's what we have to believe. That's what we have to change our mind about. That's what we have to make up our mind about. So, yesterday, this board of directors went on a retreat. And we had this board retreat planned. And so for me, a retreat is when you go out in the woods and you sit under a tree and you kind of om. It becomes very spiritual and everybody's, blending and together and really vibing nice. And, it's to like bond the board. So we were looking for, where do we want to do this? And Marcy Wellham was looking for a place for us. And we're looking, where do we want to do it? And then Sean Scanlon said, I'd like to offer my office. Now, Sean is a very high-powered head of a search firm in Century City. So his office is on the 19th floor of this gorgeous building on Century Park East, a big conference room, all glass, overlooking, the view is spectacular. And my first instinct was, no, I kind of want a tree to sit under. Really. And then I was like, wait a minute, change it up. There's a reason. When some change comes to what you think, don't just discard it. Say, why is this here? What did this come here for? And I instantly knew the answer. So as soon as I realized it, I went, oh, because this board meeting needs to be about bigger, more expansive. It needs to be about business. It needs to be about where are we going? How are we getting there? We need to open our minds. We need to raise to a higher floor and have a bigger, expansive understanding of it all. So I said yes. Yesterday's 6 hours, and you should know this, and you should be really happy about this, was 6 of the most expansive, amazing, vibrant, exciting hours I have spent in the entire 15 years of this center, of understanding where we are going, pinpointing what this science is about. This whole talk is predicated on a lot of what came up yesterday, which is, what are we selling? What is it we are out in the world doing? What do we have that the world needs? And the two things that came up, we know what most religion is selling, and that is salvation. Anybody here wants salvation? No, because you're in a different church. So that's salvation. So what are we selling? You know what? It became so clear to me. Greatness. Greatness on demand. That's what we're selling. An understanding of who I am, a real vibrancy of who I am. So if we're really going to do that, then my job is to not let one of you walk out of here today, lock the doors. No, to not let one of you walk out of here today without me doing my damnedest to get you to make up your mind that you're in the right church, in the right philosophy, you understand how it works, and you are ready to live from that perspective. And no more saying, I'm okay with lack. It'll figure itself out. I'm okay with this kind of health challenge. It'll work itself out. No more of that. To make up our minds to say, my mind is a powerful tool. There is a power for good in the universe, and I can use it. It is greater than I am, and yet it is all that I am. I am ready to step into it. I am ready to step into it as it. I know that I am it. I am always using it, and now I use it on purpose without any shadow of a doubt, and I leave no room for anything opposite. I need no room for duality. I leave no room for those things that I no longer wish to think about. I think only what is mine to think, and that is health, wealth, prosperity, creative expression, and amazing relationships. That's the kind of life we can live. That's the kind of life we should live, and that is the kind of life we are living right now. The minute you make up your mind to know it deep, in the deepest part of your being, to know it and then decide to live from it. Namaste. Good. So, there you go.